When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish,
the podcast that's gay because of Johnny Bravo.
Ooh, okay, the podcast can be gay because of Johnny Bravo.
Sure.
I just don't want anybody to get the wrong idea and think that I'm gay because of Johnny Bravo.
Oh, I'm definitely gay because of Johnny Bravo.
Well, you and the podcast.
Me and the podcast together.
I don't want any part of that part.
Why? What's wrong with Johnny Bravo?
There's nothing wrong with Johnny Bravo. He just didn't make me gay. It's okay if he made you gay, and it's okay if he made the podcast gay.
What made you gay?
Probably the volleyball scene in Top Gun. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz.
And we're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. And today, hold on to your butts.
We're going to talk about cigarettes.
We're going to talk about cigarettes, your favorite thing to put in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But first, we do have a correction.
Okay.
That I would like to talk about.
Yeah. Just
briefly. Received this in multiple different formats and different channels. Thank you so much, everybody, for keeping me honest. In regard to our cruise episode, small correction. Cruise ship employees are basically forbidden to sleep with passengers. That's a fireable offense for most cruise lines. That was Jacob in Cleveland, just one of the many who wrote in. And yeah, that's true. I fucked that up. They're not supposed to sleep with passengers. It's okay for them to sleep with each other, but not with passengers.
Okay. Also,
to be fair, I will continue to sleep with listeners.
that is not a rule that we have established. Also, they do check your bags. I was saying that they didn't, and a lot of people said that yes, in fact, they do check your bags.
Yeah,
so
they're like, girl,
sure
do not take anything with you on that boat because they will find it.
Don't pack your Coke or your, I don't know what else, or your alligators. Whatever else is forbidden to bring on the boat.
Wait, is that a name for a drug, or is you just?
Nope, that's the animal. Don't bring the animal on board. It's probably forbidden.
Great. Nailed it. Yeah. If you want to come on our cruise and not bring any substances, that's February 7th through February 14th, 2027. Gayishpodcast.com/cruise, the Live Love Podcast Cruise with Derek and Romaine. You will enjoy it. There's a form to fill out. $250 deposit gets you on the road to everywhere, baby.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. You're going to be so annoyed of hearing about it by the time it gets to be 2027.
I think. Okay, so my not so secret plan is to, like, during Pride Month, not talk about it.
Okay,
because we're gonna be busy. I'm going to be traveling. Just like, we'll shut up, and then, but we'll do it. We'll still say something once a month. Okay.
That's a reasonable amount to say.
Until right before it. And I don't know. We should ask Derek and Romaine when is the last for people to sign up. Whenever is the last for people to sign up, we should do another big push.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds good.
Speaking of big pushes, here's the news.
Shut your mouth hole. It's time for your ear holes. News.
I'm extra full of caca today, Kyle. News the first. We got a new pope.
American pope.
An American pope.
You'll be my American pope. American pope.
Take me to the church. I want to bang a boy. So, yeah, American Robert Prevost has been chosen as the next pope, becoming the first American pope in history. He's taken the popey name of Leo the 14th. Now,
and everyone, I saw this posted online, and everyone accepted his new name, and no one asked any questions.
Right? Exactly. His chosen name, we're fine with.
We're totally fine.
Yeah,
we'll start to call him that.
Apparently, we're also okay with immigrants as long as they're white and from South Africa. We're not talking about that in the news, though. He's also sort of from America. Like, he was from Chicago, but then like has spent like a lot of time not really being an American. He's more of a man of the world, Kyle. And of course, everybody is immediately freaking out and wondering what are his opinions about gay people, because Pope Francis was, less than fucking terrible. Like, he was no Pope Benedict. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I feel like he would always like backtrack on things. He would say something and then be like, no, it's like, he would say something supportive and then be like, no, but I didn't totally mean it supportive. Like, I feel like he always had to clarify whatever he said, good or bad. And it made it so he was like kind of wishy-washy.
Well, and I think that some of that is because sometimes the Pope speaks for God and sometimes the Pope speaks as a fan of the Chicago White Sox. You know what I mean? Like, like, you can't take everything that he says in every context as being like officially what the church thinks. So like, the church officially fucking hates faggots. And, but like, you can just kind of read between the lines sometimes that he was, less shitty about it. And so now, new Pope, everybody's like, what's this one going to do? Apparently in 2012, at a meeting of bishops, he said, quote, Western news media and popular culture fostered sympathy for beliefs and practices that are at odds with the gospel. This is from a New York Times report. Apparently, the now Pope, mentioned that the homosexual lifestyle and alternative families comprised of same-sex partners and their adopted children are part of society being against the Bible. Now, there is this group of gay Catholics, and it's called New Ways Ministry. The executive director said, look, it was disappointing to hear that the Pope said that in 2012, but it was 13 years ago, and lots of things have changed in 13 years. It's like, let's give the possibility that his feelings have changed on that subject. But also, Dignity USA, another LGBTQ plus Catholic group, said, quote, we note that this 2012 statement was made during the papacy of Benedict XVI, when doctrinal adherence appeared to be expected. The point was, no matter what, under Benedict, because he was such a German Nazi fuckface about gay shit, you had to toe the line or get in trouble. Which, that's kind of a just following orders, but maybe not really his opinion.
Maybe his opinion has evolved since then.
We hope. Basically what they're saying is he might suck. He could suck, but like, let's give him a chance to suck before we say he sucks. Okay. If the only thing that we have is something he said in 2012.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think that's fair to let him open his mouth today and see what he says.
Well, and I also think, Kyle, that I'm so happy with how much MAGA hates his guts.
Oh, they do?
Oh, they hate his guts.
Why?
Because he has directly called out J.D. Vance as being incorrect on a number of issues, but primarily immigration. He has said that he's anti-war, that he's pro-Ukraine, that he has, and basically that like Jesus wasn't white and like would probably not be welcome in America.
Yeah. They get so mad when you point out the fact that Jesus wasn't white, the true facts that Jesus wasn't white. I don't understand why they get so mad about that.
Because they live a cartoon existence, Kyle, free of any sort of pushback. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, remains to be seen. But the fact that it was like so long ago that he said really anything about gay people, and the fact that MAGA hates his guts, makes me want to I'm going to keep an eye on that Pope.
Okay. I like this. I like him more now that I know that MAGA hates him. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. They hate his guts is great.
Yeah. That's awesome.
News the second.
Great.
So this is kind of an update, but kind of not really. I don't know. But the Department of Defense's war against trans service members has escalated once again. The Supreme Court has allowed them to go forward with their ban while we're waiting for the actual case to be announced, which should be in June. But it's not a good sign. But basically, the Pentagon has halted all gender-affirming care for trans service members. Mm-hmm. And the DoD is also moving forward with a complete rollback of care for troops diagnosed with gender dysphoria, whether they've transitioned or not, and also have said you need to resign by June 6th or we're going to kick you out. So happy Pride, trans people. It's just so sad.
Yeah. And again, like in all areas where trans people are the focus, like this is a non-issue. Like they're a tiny fraction of the budget, a tiny fraction of the percentage of people in the military. Like this is not an issue.
And some of them have served with distinguished careers in the military.
Yeah.
And they have had no issues with their performance whatsoever. Yeah. And just now, merely because they're trans, that's disqualifying, is a sad, sad commentary on the fucked upness of this fucking country.
Yeah, agreed.
News the last.
Great.
I'm going to end on a happy one, Kyle.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay.
I'm super excited about this.
It's an open-faced turd sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. With like little sprinkles.
Yeah. Well.
So the cities of Boise and Salt Lake City both are forbidden under their respective state laws to fly pride flags during Pride Month.
Well, that sucks.
So both cities are going to fly pride flags anyway. And I love malicious compliance because they are declaring that their city's flag is the rainbow flag now. So they're like, the official city of Boise flag for the month of June is the pride flag.
Love it.
So the statute specifically says that cities can fly their official flags. Mm-hmm. So they are just going to do that. It's not a pride flag. It's just Boise's flag. Why are you mad? We changed it to rainbow.
That's so smart. Someone really thought that one through before they did it. Good call.
I love a letter of the law, not the spirit, malicious compliance. I love it so much. So the mayor of Salt Lake City said, quote, "Our city flags are powerful symbols representing Salt Lake City's values. I want all Salt Lakers to be able to look up at these flags and be reminded that we value inclusion and acceptance, leaving no doubt that we are united as a city and people moving forward together." And I just learned today that people who live there are called Salt Lakers.
Yeah, I had no idea. I called them Salt Lakeans.
It is another reminder too, though, that like there are red states and blue states, sure, but really we're blue dots of cities that live in red oceans. Yeah. That, you know, even in the most conservative, backwards shit-faced states like Utah, Salt Lake City is liberal as all hell.
Yeah, for sure. Well, way to go, Boise and Salt Lake City. Good call.
I love it. Anyway, that's the news.
That's the news. Speaking of things I love, I want to thank our new Patreon members. Thank you to Alejandro Morales and
Alejandro.
I was waiting for you to keep going. And thank you to Seth Kaplan. I don't think there's a song about Seth.
Seth Kaplan. I know 0 songs about Seths.
Sorry, Seth, you don't get a tune to your name. If you want ad-free episodes a day early, if you want to support the show, if you want to use Mike's hole for 100 words, then go to patreon.com/gayish podcast.
Do it.
Do you want to talk about cigarettes?
Let's talk about cigarettes, Kyle.
Yeah. This is my fault.
Yeah, you did this. Why did you do this?
I thought it was important. I know that LGBT people are more likely to do all kinds of things that are harmful for themselves, including cigarettes. And we both have personal experience that we can talk about our use of cigarettes. So I thought it was fitting.
Okay. All right. I'll let it pass this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Accepted? You accept my justification?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I think I'm going to start with the history of cigarettes, Kyle.
Okay.
What's wild to me is the marvel of engineering that cigarettes are. Now, I know that cigarettes are bad. I know that they cause cancer. I know that there's like a whole litany of things that the industry fuck around with. Lots of fuckery going on.
Lots of fuckery about.
But like it's like wild what goes into making a cigarette. Anyway, so a cigarette needs to be differentiated from just smoking a tobacco in a pipe versus like a cigar, which is all rolled up in leaves, versus like a cigarette. And the paper is, most people agree that like the paper is what makes a cigarette. Like its casing, its covering is not leaves like a cigar. It's like it introduces the concept of paper and then later a filter onto the end.
You didn't say the question, what is a cigarette? But you were answering that question. Well, you didn't want me to roll my eyes at you hard.
I was hoping to sneak that past the goalie.
Yeah, sorry. I noticed. Yeah. I see you.
All right. Well, it's also, okay, so we don't call them e-cigarettes anymore. So like that doesn't count. Vapes don't count, everybody.
Vapes don't count.
Do you agree with that, Kyle?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, great. And weed cigarettes don't count. Cannabis cigarettes don't count.
Agreed.
Okay, great. How about cloves? Clove cigarettes?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
I used to smoke cloves because I wanted to be counterculture and cool.
Oh,
and they were a gateway drug because then I started smoking for real. Anyway. Okay, so the cigar really is where the cigarette comes from. And there are some indications that the Mexicans and Central Americans in the 9th century started to smoke tobacco out of like reeds, like the little water tube plants. And that's arguably the same thing as a cigarette because they're like not using tobacco. They're using something else to put the tobacco in and smoking it like the paper. I don't know if I buy that. But basically in the 17th century, the North American, Central American, South American cigarette used corn or paper to wrap tobacco that had been prepared for cigarette use. And that's when it was brought back to Spain. Then the French caught on. The French named it the cigarette.
Oui, les cigarettes.
But they are the one. I mean, it sounds French, it looks French, and it is French. Kyle.
It seems very French. I imagine French people and European people overall smoking cigarettes more. I don't have gayta on Europeans smoking of cigarettes, but I imagine it's more.
Just a dude wearing a beret smoking a cigarette looking bored. I'm going to expect a French accent.
Yeah, totally.
In 1845, that's when they started being manufactured in France, and then they ended up in England, and we adopted cigarette as part of the English language around the same time. Okay, so there's this dude James Albert Bonsack, which I wanted him to be gay so bad because he looks gay. Why
does he look gay?
He just has this like, okay, first of all, good question. It's in the eyes. He looks gay in the eyes. I think he's mildly attractive, kind of twinky. I would probably hit on him. And so it's not that he looks gay, it's that I am gay. Sometimes that's what happens.
Sometimes they seem gay because you want them to be.
Yeah, but I went on a whole thing. His Wikipedia article says nothing about his family at all, except that his dad was involved in a wool mill, and that's how he learned about machinery or whatever. But like it doesn't say anything about like his family. So I went on this whole thing. I found his grave on Find a Grave, and it said that he was buried next to his wife, and that they had a bunch of kids. So if he was gay, he was doing it the secret way.
Yeah, real deep.
Anyway, he invented the cigarette rolling machine, and that's what really introduced cigarettes to the whole world, because until then they were all rolled by hand, even if they were being like packaged and mass produced and marketed and sent that way. But basically it went from a person could roll, 4 cigarettes per minute.
That's pretty average. Good. That's pretty fast.
I mean, like I think about did you ever try to roll your own cigarettes to be cool?
No.
I went through like a hot minute in college where I thought I was going to save money and be cooler by rolling my own cigarettes. The only thing is, when you roll your own cigarettes, there's no filter and it's harsh as fuck. But it was kind of fun. Anyway, yeah, it would take me 38 minutes to roll one cigarette and it would be lumpy and bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he invented this machine, and that one machine could roll 200 cigarettes per minute.
Damn.
And so it's really all his fault.
I wonder if he lived long enough to be like, man, I helped make the cigarette, which helps destroy people's lungs and get that out into the world in a more efficient way. So I am one of history's monsters.
It's a great question. And I think probably no, because he lived okay. He was 64 when he died, which isn't old, but like, old timey standards, that's like, a decent run. But he died in 1924. So just before the Depression, the Roaring 20s, everybody was smoking up a storm. And I'm sure that he got some like satisfaction out of seeing how many people were smoking, his invention or whatever. Yeah. But the problem is, both at the beginning and all the way through like the 70s, we were lauding the health benefits of smoking. It wasn't like he wouldn't consider himself a monster, because I don't think they cause cancer, they are bad for you, they're highly addictive part was part of it yet.
Yeah.
So it's because of this dude that they could be mass produced cheaply, and then that's when we see all kinds of like advertising start to pop up. Also, soldiers love to smoke, and they became entwined with like military culture. Like, how many dude like World War I or World War II dude with a green helmet on smoking a cigarette that just belongs, right? Because that was real.
I wonder if that's what contributed to making it seem so cool.
Maybe.
Because people in the military are cool.
Well, and there's a lot of smoking in movies. There's a lot of cool characters that smoke in movies that make it part of the like zeitgeist or whatever. Like you think of James Dean, and he was a smoker. There were other signs of oral fixation with him too. Like there's this whole thing that I heard about, like he kind of nibbles on the corner of his leather jacket. And there's this person that was saying that was because his mother didn't breastfeed him long enough. And
that's weird.
But like, he's a super cool, iconic person, and smoking is part of his thing. Yeah. Then there's the development of like later on the Marlboro Man, and this idea that like it's part of rugged masculinity to smoke, especially certain brands of cigarettes. I don't think you're old enough to remember TV commercials for cigarettes, but we stopped showing cigarette commercials on TV in 1970.
Wow.
Well, I'm not old enough to remember TV commercials then either, although I have definitely seen some. Anyway, they got kicked off of TV, and thank goodness. And all of that is because the health effects started to become very clear that it was bad, and that tobacco companies were lying to us and manipulating us with advertising. And like, I firmly believe though that like, if it were to be, if it happened again today, none of that would happen. People would just deny the facts and say, no, it's not real, and give the cigarette companies a tax break.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad that feels true.
Like, I feel like we used to take a stand about shit and like change it and make things better. And like, I have such low expectations that would ever happen in real life today. Like
that we could like band together as a nation and be like, hey, cigarettes are bad. Let's ban them from running TV ads.
Yeah.
I can't see us coming together on anything these days.
Yep. Not at all. Not at all. Anyway, Kyle, that's like the history of cigarettes in a nutshell. I'm going to talk a little more about specifically the queer angle and people of color angle, but for now, I'll leave it at that. Let's make it gayer. You got some gayta, you said.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you talked about the like rugged masculinity and like the that feels very straight kind of straight dude, like James Dean, like straight dude, military, straight guy. So like, are cigarettes straight? Well, let's look at the data.
Let's look, Kyle.
I'm going to use the same thing I used when I talked about drug use. This is the Sexual Orientation and Estimates of Adult Substance Use and Mental Health. Results from the 2015 National Survey on Drug Use and Health by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. This study bills itself as the first nationally representative, federally collected comprehensive information on the substance use and mental health of adults by sexual orientation. So remember, just keep in mind, this data is from 2015. That's the best I have, at least. So first, when they ask people about their cigarette use in the National Survey on Drug Use and Health is defined as smoking part or all of a cigarette. So you don't have to have smoked the whole thing for it to count as smoking a cigarette.
Okay, that makes sense.
We're looking at people ages 18 up, and this is only LGBT people.
Okay.
Like a lot of studies.
But do they label that person a smoker?
They talk about the past month. They talk about daily smokers and people that smoke a pack or more in a day. That's how they break them down.
Okay. I'm back on board. Because I was like, okay, if they're going to define it, well, nobody does this. They're horribly addictive. But like, if somebody just like has their half of a cigarette every day, they're not a smoker, I don't think. But
if you have half a cigarette every day, I would say, yes, you're a smoker.
Okay. That's weird, right?
That'd be a weird thing to do.
I don't think anybody does. Like, nobody does that, though.
I don't think so either.
Like, you either are the like 2 puffs once a month at the bar with your girlfriends, or you're a full-on smoker.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's see. The results for the cigarette use in the past month for straight people, it's 20.6% have smoked in the past month. For sexual minorities, so for LGBT people, that is 32.2%.
Oh, that's more.
That is more. So it's like about a fifth versus about a third.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's all queer people, or does it break it down more?
I will get into breaking it down a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
my money's on the lesbians this time, Kyle.
Because of previous experience, money on the lesbians. Okay. Well, actually, we'll see. Among cigarette users, then the question is, how many are daily smokers?
Yeah.
So the percentage of cigarette users that are daily smokers of straight people, it's 59.6%.
Oh, of the smokers. Got it. Okay. Got it. So of the 20%, 59% are daily. Okay, got it. Go ahead.
And then of the smokers, how many are daily users for sexual minorities is 51.6. So it's actually lower. A lower percentage are daily smokers for sexual minorities.
I don't like that.
Why don't you? That doesn't necessarily mean there are less of us. It just means that of the ones that do smoke, straight people tend to be more likely to be daily smokers.
Okay. There was always that person in my life who just was like, I only smoke when I'm drinking.
Yeah.
And like, well, girl, you're an alcoholic, so you're a smoker. Maybe that's what's happening here.
Maybe I wonder if that's what's happening too. Like, only smoke when I'm drinking, kind of for fun, out with my friends at a bar kind of thing.
Yeah.
And maybe gays are more likely to be those people.
Yeah.
And then among daily smokers, what percentage smoke a pack or more in a day? For straight people, that is 41.8%.
Oh, man.
And for sexual minorities, it is 32.5%. So again, straight people are more likely, of the people that are daily smokers, they're more likely to smoke a pack or more in a day.
Do you have any theories?
I think it's the same thing. Well, no, I don't. Because if you're a daily smoker, why is it that straight people are more likely to smoke more? I don't know. No, I don't have any theories. Do you?
Yeah. What about the pack a day thing? I think Do straight people have more money? That isn't, I don't know.
Maybe straight people are more likely to have families and like they want to escape their family to get outside and just smoke a cigarette and like not be around their kids for a second.
Yeah, maybe. Because there's like, I don't know, the oral fixation thing that keeps popping up, right? And the idea is that like gays are more nervous and gays are more fidgety and gays are more like putting things in their mouths all the time, and that like it's the dicks, Kyle. That's why we can't get 100 cigarettes sorry, not 100 cigarettes. Jesus Christ, Mike. We can't get a whole pack of cigarettes in our face because the dicks are in the way.
We have too many dicks in our mouths, so we can't smoke.
Yeah,
as much. Straight people aren't getting enough sex, so they're smoking more.
Right.
We are getting our fix. Maybe we're getting our fix from other things like alcohol, drugs,
RuPaul,
the essentials. Okay, if you just look at men and their cigarette, and boy do we, men's cigarette use in the past month. For straight people, it is 23.6%.
Okay.
For bisexual men, it is 28%.
Mm-hmm.
And for gays, it is 30.2%.
Yeah. Way to be on top, gays.
Gays are the winners as the for men, the most likely to smoke. For women, cigarette use in the past month, for straight people, it is 17.8%. Which I think that's the lowest percentage of any of these percentages that I'm reading.
Straight girls?
Straight girls are the least likely, which is interesting. So at least when you look at straight people, it is a more masculine thing because straight men was 24%, and straight women was 18%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting that it's both more greater more men do it, but also gays do it more too. You often see things that are feminine tend to be associated with gays, but in this case, it's not.
Yeah. Huh. Maybe it's this masculine thing, like more like that's the opposite of what we usually see in another way too, right? Which is that usually it's feminine things that the gays flock to, and then we start associating with gayness.
That's what I just said.
No. But like, okay. Well.
Stealing my thunder. If you look at women, and sorry, we're still looking at women. We're on women. We're on top of women still.
Tell me about the lesbians, Kyle.
Straight women was 17.8%. Lesbians is 31.8%. And bisexuals was 35.2%.
Those bi women, God bless them.
That's what it was. I think you might be misremembering. It was always the bi women.
It's always the bi women, yeah.
Yeah, not the lesbians. So bi women, out of all of these percentages, men and women, the bi women have the highest percentage at 35.2%.
It's wild.
And then if you break it down by age, if we just look at people age 18 to 25, we were looking at everyone 18 and up. So now just 18 to 25 among straight people, it is 25.5%. So they are more likely than the average straight person to smoke. And for sexual minorities, it is 39.7%.
Okay.
So actually, among all the numbers that I talked about cigarette use in the past month, 39.7 is actually the highest percentage. And so sexual minorities age 18 to 25. And if I had to guess, I would guess that it would be bisexual women 18 to 25, would probably be the most likely to smoke cigarettes.
That just blows me away though, because I think that like the youngins are so woke and like love their bodies and don't want to poison them and are like poor and can't afford fucking cigarettes. They're so expensive. It's crazy.
And I think of everyone as moving over to vapes. So I don't know.
Did they count e-cigarettes?
I don't know. What's the difference between an e-cigarette and a vape?
I think it's the same thing.
Is this the same thing?
I think so.
Should I check to see if this included e-cigarettes?
Whatever your heart song says, Kyle.
If I search e-cigarette, it doesn't come up with anything.
According to the CDC, e-cigarettes, electronic cigarettes, e-cigarettes are sometimes called e-cigs, vapes, vape pens, and electronic nicotine delivery systems, or ENDS. So the CDC says they're all the same. It's good enough for the CDC. It's probably something we should start questioning because of who's running it now.
This is how out of touch I am. I don't know the difference between an e-cigarette and a vape. It doesn't say anything about whether they included e-cigarettes or vapes in this data. They just talk about cigarettes. So I'm going to assume this is just cigarette smoking.
Yeah, but you're right. It does seem that like the vaping thing is a young person thing.
Yeah. That's the, I did. So because trans people weren't included in this study, I wanted to include some trans people data. So I pulled some data from a study called Transgender Use of Cigarettes, Cigars, and E-Cigarettes in a National Study published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine. And their estimates say approximately 1 in 5 LGBT people smoke cigarettes versus 1 in 6 straight people. And for trans people, the number is reported to be as high as 1 in 3.
Wow, trans people. Okay.
So maybe trans people, I wonder how they compare to bi people in this study. I didn't get that to that level of breaking it down, but trans people seem to have high levels of smoking cigarettes, which we'll talk a little bit more about why LGBT people are more likely to smoke cigarettes, but it kind of makes sense given the trauma and discrimination that you go through as part of the reason for people smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, for sure. At least that's been our theory about the bi ladies in the past.
Yeah.
Well, one reason might be marketing, Kyle. We've already talked about the like Marlboro Man and the hypermasculine stuff, but so okay, here's the thing.
What's the thing?
I want to talk to you about Project SCUM.
Yeah.
And the director of the Washington, D.C. based Mount Mautner Project for Lesbians with Cancer called Project SCUM, quote, "This is a hate crime, plain and simple."
Ooh.
And so basically the court ordered R.J. Reynolds, who's one of the big tobacco companies, to hand over documents during a trial with the state of California. And R.J. Reynolds owned Camel and Winston cigarettes. And so basically the state was suing them over their marketing practices and using it as evidence for anti-tobacco litigation or legislation. And in all of those documents that they handed over was this stuff about Project SCUM. And Project SCUM was a whole plan to market cigarettes to members of, quote, alternative lifestyles in San Francisco, California.
I hate when we're called alternative. Like, I didn't do anything to be alternative. I was just born gay. I'm not trying to be some kind of weirdo or out there or anything. I'm just happen to be gay.
Yep. True that. It's not a lifestyle.
It's not a lifestyle. Yeah.
So, okay. In particular, they said that they wanted to market to the large number of gay people in the Castro, homeless people in the Tenderloin, and people of color citywide. And the SCUM, it turns out, was not merely how they felt about those people, but it was also an acronym that officially stood for Subculture Urban Marketing.
Sure.
So
sure it does.
We're not a lifestyle, but are we a subculture, Kyle?
I guess. I don't know. I also don't like being counted as a subculture because it sounds like we're intentionally going counterculture or doing something to try to like go against the norm, which I'm not trying to do any of that.
Yep. I agree. There is
nice.
There is an implication that like there's some choice involved in like you choose to be a comic book nerd or a beatnik
Yeah.
Or what were those insufferable people called for a while?
Republicans.
Yep. Them also. You definitely choose that. Hipsters. Yeah, it's a choice. That's a choice that's being made. Those are subcultures, I think.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Yeah.
But gay culture is a subculture too, and I understand
that. Yeah.
But shouldn't there also be dom culture? Anyway. San Francisco Supervisor Chris Daly, who represented the Tenderloin District, said, quote, "It's racist, it's classist, it's oppressive, and it's really disheartening to hear, but I can't say that I'm surprised. Low-income communities and people of color have always been derided and taken advantage of. Obviously, the tobacco companies feel like they can make money off other people's misery." It's funny too because they officially changed the name. There was some fear that the name Project SCUM was going to get out, and it did.
Yeah, which it did.
But there was one copy of it where a executive had crossed out SCUM and written sourdough, so it was known as Project Sourdough after that. Which I don't know if that's better. What?
I mean, we all got into. It's funny because people got into sourdough during the pandemic and I got into cigarettes. So it ties together.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm with you. This makes sense.
Yep.
Anyway, all of this stuff sounds like shit that they were doing in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. Nope. Project SCUM was 1995.
Wow.
And it just goes to show that even after they'd had the shit sued out of them, even after they had lost case after case after case about the health destroying properties of cigarettes and all of the evilness that they were forced to stop when it came to advertising, they were still fucking doing it. They were just trying to not get caught.
Yeah. That sucks. Boy, cigarette companies are like some of the lowest of the low.
They're scum, Kyle.
You're the scum. Take a mirror, Project SCUM.
Anyway, that's enough about Project SCUM. It just was it was so interesting to me that they were like, yeah, let's figure out how we can get those fags to smoke our cigarettes more. Yeah, because we don't like them. Or we do. We want their money.
We want their money. We know that they're more prone to smoke, so let's capitalize on that and make it our brand.
Yeah, well, and it's unclear to me whether we were more prone to smoke before Project SCUM or not. Like if it was the influence of like intentionally going after our dollars that ended up in us smoking more. Not sure.
Well. I'm going to talk more about why LGBT people are more likely to smoke cigarettes.
Let's do it then. Is marketing one of the things?
Marketing is the very first thing, and I did have stuff on Project SCUM that I won't go over, Avi. Right. But yeah, people. Every time in an article I ran across a reason we are more likely to smoke, I just basically wrote it down. So these are a collection of all the reasons I could find, and everything mentioned. Some articles exclusively mentioned the advertising that is done to our community to try to get us to smoke as the reason. So it looks like kind of pushing a little bit of the blame off of ourselves and placing it squarely on the tobacco companies, which I'm not sure I totally agree with. I think we have to take some of the blame as well, but there are understandable reasons why we may be more likely to smoke. One other reason is bar culture.
Yeah.
Bars are often seen as safe spaces in the gay community, and they encourage, among other things, alcohol use and cigarette use. So I think that it makes sense that we're feel safe in places like bars where you're going to get drunk, you're going to have a cigarette.
Yeah.
And you see people doing that. There's outside of one of our favorite little places, one of our favorite bars, there's like a little cigarette smoking area.
Yep.
Where you can go outside and stand, and like that's seems to be like a little like a time for people to like bond and actually talk to someone they don't know.
Yeah. Well, and how much of that is a holdover from when you could smoke inside, right? Like, can you still smoke in bars in Texas?
I don't think so.
But I like we think of smoking indoors as a thing that's like old timey, and it's not old timey. I'm not that old, and I smoked cigarettes legally in a bar. Like I remember when that was legal, and it's
I remember when you went to restaurants and you had to say smoking or non.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly right. And also, like when my dad and I were in Oklahoma, I snuck out and went to a gay bar one night, and like they were smoking inside there. I think it's legal there.
Oh, maybe it is legal in Texas. I don't know. Just because I haven't been out in Texas in so long. Yeah. Except for when we went out in Dallas, which I didn't see anyone smoking when we were out in Dallas. Did you?
Mm-mm. You'd think you would.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was legal. Another reason is stigma. LGBT people face higher levels of stress than the general population because of discrimination, social stigma, and the pressures of coming out. And all of those increased pressures, those increased levels of stress cause us to look for outlets to kind of relay that stress and assuage that stress. And cigarettes are one of the ways that we turn to, including, alcohol, drugs. This falls in the same category as all the other kind of substances that we turn to in order to try to make difficult lives a little bit more tolerable.
Yeah.
LGBT people have a higher prevalence of anxiety disorders and mood disorders. And that is tied to probably the stigma that we face. So I think those are related, but if you're more likely to be depressed, then you may be more likely to do things like drink or smoke to try to get yourself to feeling a little bit better.
Yeah.
And lastly, one of the big ones is barriers to quitting, is another reason we may smoke more. So a few of the barriers to quitting smoking may include healthcare barriers, such as within healthcare, increased discrimination, reduced access to treatment, barriers to access healthcare services may prevent us from quitting.
Okay.
It also said that smoking cessation interventions often don't reflect the experience of LGBT people. So we don't have like kind of courses or interventions that are catered towards us and our experiences. Whereas if you're in the part of the general population, you just kind of fit in with whatever lessons they're teaching. They don't have to, you get the benefit of being the target audience of those interventions. It also mentioned that we are at a higher risk of things like, because we're at a higher risk for things like HIV and AIDS, mental health issues, other substance use, all of those may take higher precedence over the idea of smoking. So if you're like using meth, then stopping using meth may be your priority rather than giving up smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're depressed, getting your depression, under control and in check may be a higher priority than quitting smoking.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. It's sad, but it makes sense. So like, you got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Basically, you have bigger fish to fry that smoking is the least of your concerns. Mm-hmm. And then also we're more exposed to secondhand smoke, making it harder to quit, which that feels like one of those, once you're more likely to smoke, then once our population is more likely to smoke, then we're more likely to have secondhand smoke, making it harder to quit, making us more likely to smoke. Like that seems like a little bit of a wheel there of perpetual smoking.
Yeah. God, I remember that being hard. Secondhand smoke used to be really hard to be around.
Before I started smoking, I really liked secondhand smoke. I got to a point where when I was in Austin, when I was going to school, I would like walk behind people that smoked because I liked the secondhand smoke.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
The smell of it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Even though I never smoked in college.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think I missed anything? Any other reasons LGBT people are more likely to smoke?
Queer as folk.
I didn't. I was just thinking about media. I wonder if like media is more likely to show us smoking, or if we're more influenced by the media we do see, maybe we don't see representations of us in the real world, so we look to media, and media might be more likely to have us smoking. That Lady Gaga video where she was like wearing glasses made out of cigarettes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Huh. Some people were saying that like there are a bunch of queer icons that smoke, like Marlene Dietrich.
I don't know who that is.
Old timey, like tuxedo wearing lesbian with the cigarette in a holder. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I think it's a mask thing.
Yeah. So it, like, maybe like the leather community might be more likely to smoke. I wonder if that's true, because they're into like I'm a masked dude, I got leather on, I'm a cool biker dude.
And some of them like to burn each other with cigarettes, right? And cigars.
Oh, part of like Dom sub things.
Yeah.
Oof.
Maybe. Do you have any other theories? Personal thoughts?
No, I think that pretty well covers it.
Okay. Well, Kyle, I have a segment called "Is Menthol Gay?"
Okay. I don't really understand menthol cigarettes, so you might have to explain those to me.
Understand them how? Like that they are a thing, or that people like them, or
I don't know what that means. What is menthol?
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. So menthol is a cigarette that has flavoring in it, that has menthol in it, like mentholatum, that like chest rub stuff, the Vicks Vapo Rub. It has menthol in it. It's kind of minty, herbal kind of a vibe. But menthol cigarettes have menthol in them, and that makes the smoke change flavor. It tastes different, and it also has like this like cooling effect on your lungs, so that it doesn't feel as harsh. One place. Oh, it's Wikipedia. Great. Wikipedia says that menthol also decreases irritant sensations from nicotine by desensitizing receptors, making smoking feel less harsh. Oh, I was just saying that. It makes it feel less harsh. Now, there are studies. So despite the fact that menthol has been advertised as like a healthier or more medicinal or medicated almost way of smoking that makes it seem safer and more comfortable. Despite all of that, they are definitely just as bad for you, definitely just as hard to quit as regular cigarettes. And some studies have even suggested that they are more addictive than regular cigarettes.
Ooh, is that because they taste so good?
Maybe it's flavor. It might be because they're easier to smoke, and they're easier to smoke deeply. Like you can really inhale that stuff. Anyway, they were invented in the 1920s, but they didn't really get popular until Kool. Do you know Kool brand cigarettes?
No.
KOOL. I've seen them before. I've smoked a pack of Kools before. But almost every brand of cigarette now has like a menthol version. It's super duper popular in the Philippines, which is crazy. Like 60% of people, or 60% of cigarettes that have menthol. Oh my God. In the Philippines, 60% of cigarette sales are menthol brands. As opposed to like in the United States, it's only like 30% of the market. But here's where I
feel like the menthol would be like less cool. I feel like to get a flavored one is more girly and more feminine.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. So to jump ahead, basically, menthol is targeted to the queer community and the African American community by marketing, and it has been really very effective at that. So so much so that, let's see, 80% of African American smokers smoke menthols.
Wow.
And it's been the subject of a bunch of lawsuits, but also gay people, also queer people. So menthol cigarettes are used disproportionately by adolescents, women, and LGBT folks.
There it is.
People identifying as queer are twice as likely to use menthol cigarettes, according to the CDC. And then intersectionality creates a whole thing for menthol cigarettes. Most female queer smokers use menthols. 80% of African American youth, queer youth, smoke, and 70% of queer youth smoke menthols, regardless of their skin color. And anyway, Project SCUM, when Project SCUM was happening, menthol cigarettes was a big part of their plan to get these communities to smoke, and arguably it worked.
Yeah, that's so frustrating that it worked. That they were like, we're gonna, they evil laughed in the corner of a room and said we're gonna get them to do this thing, and then they did it and it worked, and we do it, and we're fucking up our own health because of them.
Yep.
That's really frustrating.
Totally. Absolutely. Now, back to the thing that you said a little bit ago, though, the idea that like a flavored cigarette, a mentholated cigarette would be seen as more feminine. I don't know. It's interesting because like that doesn't jibe to me with the way that the African American community is using it, except that a lot of women of color smoke them. But that definitely fits the whole gay thing, right? The narrative that like once something becomes feminine, then it becomes gay, which we've seen over and over again, especially in our book, gayishpodcast.com/book.
Nice.
It's definitely a thing. And I remember really liking menthol cigarettes, but embarrassed and would kind of hide them when I bought them myself. But then like always really enjoy them, especially on like a cold day, because like it's all brisk and like minty and feels like you have Elsa inside you.
Wait, why were you embarrassed to buy them?
Because I knew that it was not mask, that it was like the direct cigarette opposite of like smoking Camel filterless, which was, I had a fraternity brother who smoked Camel straights, like no filter Camels.
Wow.
And this was like the complete opposite of that. So it just is, it just was super, super feminine, or at least I knew that it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you not smoked menthols?
No, I haven't.
Really?
Yeah.
You might have to someday, Kyle, just to see, unless you're...
Yeah, let's get me addicted to cigarettes again.
Sure. Okay. So menthols are gay, apparently, and not white.
Interesting.
You said you have asked Google?
Yeah. So what I did when I was looking this up, I saw some real weird Google questions in the people also ask section of Google. So I wanted to bring to you some Ask Google. One of the questions that the people also ask section asked is, what does smoking cigarettes say about a person?
Oh, that they suck dick?
Or in the case of a bisexual women's case, that they suck dick and they plow the fields.
Yeah. Okay. So am I supposed to answer that question?
Yeah. What do you think?
I used to think you're chill, you're cool, we can hang.
Yeah.
I used to think, like you're edgy, and now I just think you're weak.
Oh, wow. That's quite the judgment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that it's like you are out of control. Like if you're a smoker, especially a heavy smoker, you are out of control, and I judge that pretty harshly in myself as much as I do everyone else.
According to Google, in sum, current smokers are characterized by high neuroticism, high extroversion, low agreeableness, and low conscientiousness.
Oh yeah, the big five or whatever.
What's the big five of what?
The big five personality traits: extroversion, introversion, extroversion, narcissism, agreeableness, neuroticism,
conscientiousness,
and conscientiousness. Those are the big 5. Unlike Myers-Briggs, which is utter horse shit and basically no better than a horoscope, those have like probably genetic components to them or factors to them and are way more useful.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. High extroversion. I could see that. If you smoke, you may be more likely to be chatty with other people.
I mean,
it gives you a conduit to like talk to other people.
It was like, if you were a smoker, you like had your smoking buddies.
Yeah. What does cigarette smoking symbolize?
I think of it as low class, blue collar. But in a hot way.
Low class in a hot way. Yeah. I like that. Like when you see a hot homeless person.
Yeah, right. Like, sir, you put your shirt on because you're giving a mixed signal here. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
According to Google, the cigarette symbolized modernity, strength, and youth, but also nervous anxiety.
Yeah.
Which I could see the nervous anxiety part, like, especially like if you're getting up on the time where you usually smoke and you're not smoking, then I can see you fidgeting and shaking your leg a little bit because you got to get your cigarettes.
Yep.
Next question. Can lungs heal after 20 years of smoking?
I mean, yes, but maybe not completely. Like scars are scars, man. Yeah. Yes, but not all the way is my answer.
According to Google, yes, lungs can heal after 20 years of smoking, and it's never too late to quit. The lungs have remarkable ability to heal themselves even after decades of smoking. Quitting smoking can trigger the healing process, and lung function can improve significantly over time. Yeah. It did not say to what degree it could improve, so you may be right. I don't know. But this little paragraph that it gave did not say to what degree.
I saw there are all those people with popcorn lung now that like from vaping, and I guess that doesn't get better.
Like, that's scary.
Yeah, it's scary.
Last question. Is being lonely equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day?
No. I equivalent to? Maybe. Okay. I'm back on board with this question.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like health outcomes, right? Like we know that if you smoke cigarettes that like it takes so many years off of your life or whatever. Like I forget the bullshit like urban legend stuff is like every cigarette is a minute off of your lifespan or whatever. But we also know that being lonely leads to bad health outcomes, that people have a lower life expectancy if they don't have good social networks and social structure and social time. So now I wonder, like, yes, probably yes. I like the question now, and I think the answer is yes.
Wow, you got there. You figured out what this question meant, which I had no idea. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about when I was looking at the question? But yeah, lacking social connection can increase the risk for premature death as much as smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow. Wild.
So if you're lonely, don't smoke because you're already going to die earlier. If you have a lot of friends, you can smoke. And then it'd be the same as being lonely.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
That's my Ask Google segment.
Okay. Well, I forgot to do this earlier, so I'm going to do it now, Kyle. I have my section on fags and butts.
Oh, by the way, for Patreon, I'm going to do an Ask Reddit where we are going to answer some of the questions rather than rely on the answers from other people.
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Fags and butts.
Fags and butts, Kyle. So we can do the quick version of this too. Let me open up my other notes. I was talking to ChatGPT today about stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Oh.
Okay, so first of all, Kyle, you I'm sure have heard in British slang that a cigarette is a fag.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also is short for faggot.
It also is short for faggot. I do know that. A word I am fond of using.
Which meaning do you think is older?
I thought faggot meant a bundle of sticks originally. So maybe bundle of sticks burning, then came cigarettes because we're burning cigarettes. Maybe there had something with the burning in common. So I'm going to go with the cigarette use.
You're correct. The use of fag to mean a cigarette in British slang came first. It was referred to cigarettes. The word fag to mean a cigarette comes from around 1888, likely as an abbreviation of fag end, which referred to the last remnant of something, like the end of a cigarette. It was before that, fag meant loose piece or remnant of cloth. And in the 14th century, or maybe according to some people, the 1610s, it had something to do with cloth, or like loose pieces of cloth. And it's related to the word flag.
Oh, flag dropped the L.
Yeah. So now looking through the etymology of this stuff, looking at like where, like when the word fag meaning cigarette appeared in print, some of these are hilarious. In 1888, there's a quote that said, "They burn their throats with the abominable fag, with its acrid paper and vile tobacco." That's the earliest it's been seen in print. There's in 1893 in a magazine called Pick Me Up, there was a quote that, "Stimulants he calls booze and cigarettes a fag." But let's see. He gathered, this is 1908 from the Church Times. He gathered into a leather pouch the remains of his cigarettes and left the room. "What does he do with all those fags?" asked Conway.
What do you do with all those fags?
What do you do with all those fags?
So many fags. James
Joyce in Ulysses wrote the phrase "smoking a chewed fag butt."
That sounds raunchy.
A chewed fag butt?
Yeah.
You got this. That's got to be a flag on Sniffies, right?
Yeah.
And then there was the business of the fag cards. We all collected them, which I guess some brands of cigarettes had like collector cards in them that got called fag cards. But this one is my favorite, Kyle. In 1945, an author named L. Shelley had a Jive Talk dictionary, 1945, in which she defines fag hag as a girl who chain smokes.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah. Now the question is, does that fag hag come before or after fag hag meaning a fag hag?
It's got to come before. I think that definition came before.
Correct. Referring to fag hag as a girl who chain smokes is earlier than the meaning that we use it for now, which popped up in the 1960s, and nobody calls a chain smoking woman a fag hag anymore, but I might start.
I love that. I want to start that as well.
Okay. And then butt. So the end of a cigarette is a cigarette butt. Which came first, meaning your buttocks or meaning the end of a cigarette?
I think buttocks.
Buttocks?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. The use of butt to mean buttocks came first.
I'm 100% so far.
You're doing great, Kyle. You're crushing this.
Thank you.
This butt. This cigarette butt.
I crushed them butts.
Under your heel. The term dates back to the mid-15th century. Originally referred to the thick end of something like an animal part in cookery. And then over time, it evolved into slang for the human posterior. But then the use of butt to mean the end of a cigarette was first recorded in 1847.
Wow.
And then the last thing is, if you say to somebody, what's the verb for "I would like to have a cigarette"?
Cigarette me.
Okay.
I don't know. Fag me?
Can I bum a smoke?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So then I was looking into that, which came first, use of bum to mean borrow or request, bum to mean a person experiencing homelessness, or bum to mean your butt. What do you think? What order did those come in?
Homeless person.
The meaning of bum as a homeless person or vagrant appeared in 1864.
Okay.
Likely comes from the German word bummler, meaning loafer or idler.
Was that first?
No.
Oh, fuck.
That was in the middle.
Oh, man. I was doing so good.
What's your second guess for first?
Borrow.
That is 1863.
Oh.
Likely as a back formation from bum in the sense of a vagrant or beggar. So the idea of bumming a cigarette came after the term for a homeless person. The earliest is bum to mean buttocks. It comes from the 14th
Should have stuck with a butt. I don't know why I didn't stick with the butt.
You always should stick with the butt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just thought I just love words, and I was really excited about like smoking words and fags and butts and bums and everything else.
Yeah, there's lots of fun words when you use cigarettes that you get to use.
Yeah. Okay, I have personal stuff written down here last.
Okay, yeah. Talk to me about your smoking.
Okay. I had my very first cigarette, I think, in 1996. It was either the summer before my freshman year of college or between my freshman and sophomore year of college. No, it was the summer before college. Yep, I remember now. Summer before college. Just driving around, it was like there was one pack of cigarettes for like 1 million people. We all had one, you know. And I didn't like it at the time. I was like, this is not for me. Yeehaw. Fast forward, though, my freshman year of college, my roommate and I wanted to be cool. So we went and got a package of Swisher Sweets. They're cigarillos. Do you know what they are? Mm-mm. They're like tiny cigars that have a little plastic tip on the end, and they are tobacco, but they're not meant to be inhaled, and they had a really like sweet like end of them. And we smoked those, but I didn't like actually start smoking. It's really the fraternity. I joined the fraternity. It was the 90s. Every party, I would legit like send a $10 bill with an upperclassman to the grocery store, and he would come back with a pack of Camels and a half case of Keystone beer and some change, because shit was just so much cheaper.
You got a lot for $10.
Absolutely. And so I started smoking just like at parties, and the next thing I knew, I'm smoking, in the morning before heading to class and on my walks between classes. And next thing I knew, I was a full-on smoker, pack-a-day smoker. And it was expensive. I could not afford it. I just couldn't stop. I was addicted. It became a joke, me trying to quit. Like I would say I was quitting, and everybody would be like, again? Because I quit. I quit over and over and over and over and over again. And I just can't overstate how difficult that is. At the end of the day, when I finally quit smoking, it was because of my ex-wife. So like of everything else that was up with that relationship, she gets the credit for that. Cause we were on a date. It was going well, like our third or fourth date. I was like, can I have a cigarette? And she said, sure, but I'll think less of you.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, well, if I'm going to date this girl and have her make me straight, I need to not smoke. So that's really what started me down the path of quitting. I had my very last cigarette, December 14th of 2002.
Wow. You still remember the date?
Yeah, it was my best friend's. He was the best man at my first wedding. It was his wedding. I just had my wisdom teeth out, and I was in a lot of pain, and bummed a cigarette from a fraternity brother. I had quit because of my ex-wife, but I was traveling for this wedding, and I figured I would just have one. And for whatever reason, the combination of her and not enjoying this cigarette and not really having super cravings for another one, partially because I was in pain. That was the final one. I distinctly remember the occasion. I remember my last cigarette, which is wild. But yeah, and I'm okay now, like being around people. I don't crave it. Every once in a while I'll think about it. I'll like getting behind the wheel of a car on a hot day. There's this like, I would roll down a window and smoke a cigarette right now. Like I still think about it. I dream that I smoke sometimes.
Oh, interesting.
And boyfriend occasionally vapes, and I've been able to completely avoid that. But yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. And so I'm super diligent about removing temptation for myself and just like being super clear about that's a hard no for me. Like we were in Japan and some people wanted to do hookah and I'm like, no, I can't, not even once. I don't know.
Are you worried that if you did hookah that you would get back into smoking?
100%. That's the fear. I don't know. When it comes to cigarettes, I was completely out of control. And like, I noticed that my language, a lot of the way that I speak about nicotine is the way that alcoholics speak about alcohol once they've been through a 12-step program. I'm just like, it was that hard. And I remember feeling completely out of control and miserable and worthless for not being able to stop when I wanted to. And I'm just not going to do that to myself again.
Good for you.
Thanks, man. 22 years and counting. How about you? The pandemic made you smoke?
Basically, yeah. The first time I smoked a cigarette was in college when I was studying abroad, and I was smoking with this girl. She like offered me a cigarette, and I like basically didn't inhale. So I didn't really like, I was like, I don't understand what everyone's on about this smoking thing. It doesn't like, I didn't understand because I wasn't really smoking. And I think like I would have a cigarette again, like not really inhale, like every now and then, like if I was drinking and someone offered me one. So like it, rarely showed up, but showed up on occasion. And then during the pandemic, it was like the beginning of the pandemic, I was waiting in line at the gas station to buy some alcohol because I did that a whole lot during the pandemic. And someone ahead of me ordered some Camels from the gas station. And I was just like, spur of the moment was like, you know what? Me too. And I got some Camels. I just got
which kind? Camel Lights, Camel Straights, Camel Reds.
They weren't the Camel Reds. Like, I think that's a separate thing, but they were in a red box.
Okay.
I think they were just the whatever generic regular Camel.
Okay.
And then I started smoking all through the pandemic. It was kind of nice because I was old enough to know better, and know that it was a horrible idea, and I didn't care because I was doing a lot of things during that time during the pandemic that I shouldn't, like drinking too much and smoking weed and overeating and smoking cigarettes. So it was just one of the many things that I did that I've like since had to cut myself off from, as we basically what encouraged me to do it was that no one knew I was smoking except you. You were the only one because we weren't allowed to see anyone. So no one could be around me to see that I smoked or smell my clothes or anything. So that's how I could get away with it it was only after I quit that I told friends that I had smoked during the pandemic. What got me, and I also quit several times and was unable to. And finally, when I quit for good, I took a trip with some friends to Palm Springs and didn't want to smoke while I was there. So didn't at all. So I remember we drank a whole bunch, of course. And I got sick to the point of throwing up. I had a headache. I felt
it's
horrible.
It's fucking terrible. Yeah.
And I didn't put it together till later that like, oh, that was because I quit smoking and my body was like going through it.
Yeah.
I don't often throw up from drinking. I do every now and then if I drink way too much, but like it has become rarer and rarer. But yeah, I definitely threw up after that night of drinking. But that kicked off and then, a few days with friends where I didn't smoke. And then I kind of just rolled along with that trend and didn't pick it back up.
Yep.
So it was like a year and a half or so that I smoked cigarettes.
Any desire to?
Yeah. And then I have since then, like I have bought a pack of cigarettes and smoked one and then given the rest away to someone on the street. I have like smoked people's vapes. So I can do it like every now and then or after I'm drinking. And it's not like pick it back up as a habit.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. It's wild. Yeah. It's what I remember, several times quitting, and it's like there is the immediate acute thing. There's like a day or two or three that is like horrible physical withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah. And
then you get through that and that part gets easier, but there's still this bizarre, intense, just like craving, just like I just want a cigarette. And then I feel like there's a third phase of like no real intense cravings. Like I don't need to, but then the instant a person is like, do you want a cigarette? I was like, yeah, down. Yeah, I do. Like a social pressure or like a trigger of some kind. And that's the hardest phase because it lasts the longest. I had to be really, strict and rough with myself for a really long time. Before that, now if somebody offered me a cigarette, I would laugh at them, but good for you for getting through it. It's an interesting thing to embark on solo, I think.
Yeah.
Although there was that time that like your coat fell on the ground and your cigarettes fell out or something. I'm trying to remember where we were when we were hanging out. You had a pack of smokes on you. I was like,
oh, I don't remember that.
That's interesting, Kyle.
I remember going over to your place during the pandemic and you were like, just so you know, I can smell cigarette smoke on you. Like, no, people don't often know. You were basically telling me because as a good friend, people often don't know when they smell like cigarette smoke. And you were like letting me know that I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was part of when I knew that I was going to have to quit when the world reopened, because I knew that I didn't want people smelling cigarette smoke on me and I didn't want other people knowing. So it was my shameful little habit. I feel like there's a ton of things that after the pandemic, I had to like learn how to go without and stop doing, and bad habits that I had to break after the pandemic. And that has taken time and I'm still working on.
I mean, mine was drinking every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single day I got drunk from March 20, whatever it was, until like late April when I got this like, holy fuck, I need to get my shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's kind of a downer note or a somber note, but should we take a smoke break?
No, Mike. No, don't do it. Let's take a non-cigarette break.
All right, let's take a break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
Are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're going to do our gayest and straightest.
Gayest and straightest. But first, hey, everybody. Hey, how are you?
How's it going?
How's your podcast experience so far today?
Please rate us on your podcatcher of choice.
Yeah, do that. Rate, review, subscribe, and recommend. No, that part's later.
Right.
Okay, I wanted to talk about this thing that we're doing at Charlie's. So Charlie's is a queer bookstore that is in the Fremont neighborhood of Seattle. If you want to come see us, buy a book, or have yours signed, we're going to do a reading at Charlie's, again, in Fremont. That is on Friday, May the 30th at 7 p.m. And You can get more information from their website, charliesqueerbooks.com. But come hang out, come see us, and we'll, I don't know, punch you in the dick or something.
I was going to say, way to promote that. Good job. And then you said that we were going to punch them in the dick. So, that may be a C- on that advertisement.
All right. Well, it's a C- kind of day, Kyle. Also,
yeah,
local gay bar review. I have a whole bunch of them. I need to start. I need to get it together, Kyle.
Okay. What are we going to talk about this time?
I'm going to talk to you about Wet Dreams in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Wow. Wet Dreams.
Yeah. And I'll just read it. This is one of the ones that I just want to read. This might be a bathhouse. I'm not sure. Many, many, many brown boys with their dicks out in a shower behind the bar. They love 20 peso notes. High pressure to join them in the back room, though.
Ooh.
Boyfriend and I each held a dick at the same time. It's super fun energy. I love the showers. This is Go-Go Boy fantasy fantastic energy. 4 dildos.
Is it because you didn't make out with anyone?
Yeah.
Because everything you described is like perfect for you and right up your alley.
You convinced me, Kyle. 4.5 dildos.
What's the extra half? What does a bar have to do?
I didn't get laid because
sounded like you could have.
I could have. Yeah, definitely could have. But a potentiality is not a actual
an actuality. Yeah.
Okay. We talked about Charlie's. We talked about local gay bar review. Our website is gayishpodcast.com.
We are on social media at Gayish Podcast.
Our hotline, where you can send us text messages or leave us voicemails, especially if it's your gayest and straightest, is 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rates apply.
Our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com.
And our physical mailing address is Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109. And Kyle,
yeah,
we got a thing.
Ooh, what did we get?
We got a box.
You don't know because it's a box. Okay.
It is from New York. It says to Mike Johnson and Kyle Getz. And we open it up. It's that thing of bubble wrap.
I always wanted that.
It's this thing.
What is that? Is that a little plant?
Dear Mike and Kyle, when I heard you talking about the Amorphophallus titanum on the recent landscaping episode, I knew immediately what I needed to do. For several years, I have been growing what I call the poor man's cousin of the corpse flower, which is Amorphophallus konjac, also known as the voodoo lily. Sorry, Mike, I know you like a giant phallus, but considering that the corpse flower is only accessible to conservatories and universities, you'll have to make do with this still mighty impressive, but somewhat smaller version. And yes, the flower does stink. Sorry about that. This tuber is about 5 years old, and it's probably 2 years away from sending up its first flower stalk. It needs to be at least the size of a large grapefruit to come into flower. Until then, it will only produce a leaf stalk, but even that looks a bit phallic before it unfurls. My tuber, which has now bloomed 3 years in a row, is about the size of a large cantaloupe, but has the potential to become as large as a basketball. The leaf stalk will die back in the fall, and the tuber remains dormant throughout the winter, but then wakes up on its own in the spring. The tuber can be planted in a large pot to be placed outside or planted in the yard/garden as long as it's dug up before freezing weather. I've included a printout that describes the plant in greater detail. Kyle, I remember that you don't have the green thumb that Mike has, so I'm only sending one tuber with him in mind. Should your thumb start turning green, I'd be happy to send a tuber for you. Love your show and congratulations on your book. Fondly, Murph. MRPH, Murph.
Murph.
P.S. If Derek wants one, I'll send him one too. P.S.S. It's got to be soon because they are starting to grow. Smiley face.
Oh, that's really sweet. Yeah, no, don't send me one because I will absolutely kill it within seconds.
And I will try to not kill it.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to put it in a pot.
Oh, cute. Well, thank you, Murph. That's very sweet of you.
Thanks, Murph. I never gotten a thing that's a flower in the mail before.
Yeah, I think this is a first.
Okay, Gayest Straightest?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
I'll go.
Okay.
My gayest is calling my mom for Mother's Day, which is also her birthday this year.
Happy birthday, Kyle's mom.
Happy birthday to my mom. She doesn't listen. Because being a mama's boy is part of a gay stereotype.
Indeed.
My straightest is my dad came to visit over this past weekend, and I just ate whatever I wanted. I ate candy, I ate food out. I just ate without any kind of like regret or remorse. And it was delicious. Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah. How about you?
How about me? The straightest thing about me this week is, speaking of green thumb, I have a vegetable garden that I have grown to adore. And then something fucking ate everything out of my garden. And I'm so murderously angry. I was shopping for traps, and I was shopping for things that would poison them. And I was shopping for chicken wire because I was going to build a fortress around my vegetable garden. I am so mad. I'm like, I feel straight guy mad with my desire to hunt and kill whatever ate everything in my garden.
That sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. It didn't get the onions.
Oh, okay.
Or the potatoes because they're not up yet. Or the carrots because they're not up yet either. Anyway. Okay. And then the gayest thing about me this week is this week, I know I feel like this is maybe should be disqualifying, but we went on a date. We went to the zoo. Boyfriend and I had a date day, and we went to the zoo and we checked out all the hot dads together. It was fun.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Do we have a listener's gayest and straightest?
We don't have a listener's gayest and straightest. We need more voicemails from you. So leave us a voicemail with your gayest and straightest.
Leave us a voicemail with your gayest and straightest because I want to hear them.
Yeah.
I want to hear them.
Yeah.
I want to hair them.
Harem. Ooh, I want to harem. Yeah. 555 gayish.
5855 gayish. Send them in. We want to hear them.
Yeah.
Now's your chance.
Now's your opportunity, your golden opportunity.
Well, thanks to all the smokers and former smokers out there.
Thanks to everyone who hears this and decides they want to quit. If you were waiting for a sign, here's your sign. You should quit.
Or thanks to everybody who wants to start.
No, that's not it. That's not it. And thank you to our super gap bridgers. Thank you to Locomotive, Simon Srirachi, Kaylee Adams, Kit Oliver, Kobe Gordon, Squaggle, Pip, Andrew Bugby, William Bryant, John Crowley, Yost Osel, Jonathan Montañez, Forrest Nail, Steve Douglas, Explosive Lasagna, Michael Covington, Thomas B, Dusty Sands, A.E. Coleman, Chris Cacciatorians, Jerome York, and Cian and Javi. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your money. That's it. This has been Gayish from the Chris Cacciatorian Studios. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you. See ya.
See you next week. Blibbity blap. Biggity pop pop deep.